អង្គុយចុះ
Please be seated. The court is now back in session. I hand over the floor to the defense counsel for Mr. Kilsampon to put a question to this witness. You may now proceed.
Merci, Monsieur.
Thank you, Mr. President. I would like to revisit your assignment to the gate which we were discussing earlier. Can you tell us how far exactly this gate was from the security center? Was it just at the entrance, or was the gate at the entrance and at the Krang Tachang entrance?
Answer. As I mentioned already, it was about 200 meters or less than that. As I said, it was about 200 meters or less than 200 meters. There were only two entrances, in the east and in the west. And from the entrance to the prisons, it was about 50 meters.
Thank you for this clarification. Now I'd like to turn to a point we discussed together regarding your statement D125/129, in which you said that the militiamen came from different communes with prisoners. Do you remember the names of these different communes that would send the prisoners to Krang Tachang?
Answer. I did not recall the commune and villages because they were across the country.
Est-ce que la
Does the commune of Cheng Tong, that is Cheang, then Tong, ring a bell? Does this somehow remind you of anything?
Answer. Jingtong commune was in Tramkak district, Takao province.
Et est-ce que vous
And do you remember if any prisoners came from that commune?
Answer. I did not recall it.
ma dernière question.
In my last question, before I give the floor to my colleague, Kong Sam-on, when you answered my colleague Victor Koppe, you said that Sei Sen had made up stories about you. And you explained that you did not know why he was making up those kinds of stories against you. So, during your stay at Krang Tachang, did you ever have any kind of issue with him, which may explain why he would make up such stories?
Answer. I believe I do not have any matters with him. And as for what he said, it is his rights for Me, myself, I took an oath before the iron statue, so I mentioned only the truth, nothing but the truth. I did not state or beyond what I did not know. It is all true. It is his right to mention whatever he wants, so I cannot make any assessment on his statement.
J'en ai terminé, Monsieur le Président.
I am done with my examination, Mr. President, and I will give the floor to my colleague.
President, thank you. Please, Mr. Kongsamon, you may now proceed. Counsel, Mr. President, Your Honors, and good morning, Mr. Srayton. I have a few questions for you. First, I would like to hear confirmation from you as a guard in Khmer Rouge period. I would like to know the factors which led you to be a soldier in Khmer Rouge period. Answer. The reason that I became a soldier in Khmer Rouge period was that there was a coup d'etat on 18 March 1970. There were demonstrations, there were protests at that time against the Lon Nol regime, that is Khmer Republic regime. And there were dead people, a lot of dead people in Ong Tasam district. I was about 13 or 14 years old at that time. I was shocked and terrified. In 1973, in 1972 or 1973, I became a militiaman. After that, in 1974, I was sent to a unit in a district. And in 1975, I was moved to a regional unit. And in 1977, I became a soldier in Division 210, Regiment 13. All these factors led me to become a soldier. Because of these sufferings, I could see people were killed, innocent people were killed. Thank you very much. Counsel, thank you very much. Could you clarify for the courts, during the time, were you one among of the demonstrators in Ong Tasam district, or were you an onlooker at that time? Answer. I was young during that time, but I could visualize what happened in the area. Not only me saw the incidents, everyone could see people were killed and piles of dead body. Counsel, how many people were killed at that time? Could you make an estimate? Answer. As for the demonstrator who died in the north of Ong Tasam market, from what I estimate, from the figure I heard, about 200 demonstrators were injured and killed. And about 200 demonstrators died at that time, and there were piles of a dead body. Counsel, thank you very much. I would like to know about Krang Tachan. Could you tell me the specific dates or time concerning the period that you were working in Krang Tachan? Document D125/129 EON in Khmer 0022 4789 EON in English 0023 1674. French EON is at 0023 4575. Allow me to quote from your own statement. Quote. From 18 April 1975, I was asked to do the farming with the people to break the stones until the harvest season in 1977. Uk sent me to work in a guard unit at Krang Tachan office. I would like to know from you concerning the harvest season in 1977. Was it in a rainy season or was it in dry season at that time? Answer. It was in rainy season, wet rice farming during that time. Question. Could you clarify for the courts? Was it in December or in January? Was it in January 1978 or was it in December 1977? Because the harvest season may falls in December or January every year. Could you clarify this point? Answer. It was between December and January. I did not remember the specific dates, or perhaps it was at the end of January, after the harvest season. Counsel, could you clarify it a bit clearer for me? If it were in December, it was in 1977, but if you said it was in January, it is 1 year later. It was 1 year later. That is 1979. So, if it was in December, it was in 1977. Again, could you clarify the court whether it was in December or January? I understand that you said it was from between 1977 and December to January, but could you clarify, was it in 1976 or was it in 1977? President, so Counsel, could you repeat your question because you spoke very fast. Counsel, thank you very much. I would like to hear clarification from Mr. Witness in relation to the months that he stated. I want to know whether it was in December 1976 or was it in January 1977. So I would like to know exactly whether it was in December 1976 or was it in December 1977? Answer. At that time, I could not know the date or year exactly, and I could know only that it was in harvest season. I did not know whether it was in December or January. What I knew is that it was in harvest season.
អញ្ចឹងបើខ្ញុំ
Council, to sum up, you mentioned that it was in December 1976, and it was from December 1976 to January 1977. Is that correct? Answer. Yes, that is correct. Council, you stated yesterday about the time when you were at Krang Tajan. At first, you were about 1 kilometer away from the center. Could you tell the court once again about the post that you were stationed? You said you were in the west guarding. Could you tell the court how many members were there in your unit? You said you were 1 kilometer away from the center, so how many members in your unit? Answer. As for the post I first stationed, it was about 1 kilometer away from the center. It was close to a subsidiary road leading to National Road number 3. It was in the west part of that subsidiary road. When I was there, we had 5 or 6 members in our unit, and we built a hall to stay in. And I did not know specifically what duty we would be assigned to do. And after that, in rainy season or in transplanting seasons, we built a halls to stay in, and there were 6 of us in the units, and we stayed there. Council, as for the 6-man units, were there any division into sub-units? You mentioned already that there was no chief or no commander in your unit, and you were all on your mastery stands. I would like to know whether your units were divided into sub-units so that you were on specific assignments. Answer. Our 6-man unit, there was no division into sub-units. We worked together, and we were in our hall day and night. During daytime, we would try to look for food near our place, and we did not go anywhere to guards. We stayed in our own place. Counsel, you mentioned already that in your hall there was a small hill. If you happen to stand on a small hill, could you see any forest far away or nearby? Answer. Actually, it was not a dense forest. It was in the open field, and it was close to villages and to people's house. So it was a small hill, and people could do farming surrounding that area. Counsel, you mentioned that there were villages nearby, so could you tell the courts how far from your place to the village? Answer, I did not know the names of those villages, and I did not know also the distance from my place to those villages. Counsel, could you clarify to the court how many villages were there in the area from the place where you were stationed? Answer, I did not recall those villages' names. I did not know those villages. Counsel, could you clarify the numbers of villages there? I understand that you did not recall the names of those villages. So how many villages were there in the area? Answer, I did not remember, and I did not also know the village where I was stationed in. Counsel, in relation to the post where you were stationed, were there any vegetables farms or sugar farms there? Answer, near my place there were mango trees, there were banana trees, and I could see a few bananas trees and a few mango trees. And when I was there, I could see that the harvest season finished already. Counsel, I want to know the vegetable farms far away from your post. You mentioned already that you were 1 kilometer away from the center, so I would like to know the area, the place in that area. Were there any trees, a banana tree or mango tree in that area?
Answer. As for the area between where I stationed and the center, there was an old deserted village, and nobody was living there. And of course, there were some other vegetation, including coconut trees. It was an old village, but there was no house, and nobody was there. It was empty. Question. Let I move now to your duties while you were posting at the outer part of the Kandachan Center. What was the main duty assigned to your unit? Answer. While we were posting there, the most important duty for us was to wait and to receive people who had been arrested from villages or communes. When those prisoners were brought to our post, then we would arrange amongst our 6 of us to take those prisoners through the gate of the compound. Questioned. Upon receiving those prisoners at where you were posting, how was the arrangement made? Can you elaborate a little bit further on this? Answer. Once people who had been arrested from villages or communes, they were brought through our post with their hands tied behind their backs. They were walked through our post, and then they would deliver us a letter, and then we would take the letter and walked the prisoners to the gate. We handed over the letter and the prisoners to the guard at the gate, and then we left. We did not enter the compound. Question. Usually, how many of your unit members escorted prisoners to the gate? Answer. We made an arrangement amongst ourselves. Sometimes this person or that person would escort the prisoners to the gate. Any of us could do that job. And once we walked the prisoners there, we handed the letter and the prisoners to the guard at the gate, and we left. Question. You said any of your 6-member unit could escort the prisoners. Was only 1 member, or were there 2 members escorted the prisoners at any one point or at any one time? Answer. If there was only 1 prisoner, then only 1 of us would escort him or her. And if there were 2 or 3 or more, then 2 or at least 2 of us would accompany them. So it varied depending on the number of prisoners. Question. You stated that during the rice transplanting season, you moved from where you posted about 1 kilometer from the compound through the west part of the gate of the compound. Can you tell the court the location of the buildings within the compound? How many main buildings were there? Answer. It seemed there were no main buildings. In fact, there were prisoners' buildings which were made of wood with thatched roof, and they were the main buildings. As for the army who stayed there, they left in a building with thatched roof and open structure, and they slept in a hammock. Question. My question is for you to provide details of the detention buildings. In your document D125/129, EN in Khmer is at 00224792, and in French 00234578, and in English 00231677, which is a sketch that you drew. And Mr. President, I seek your permission to hand this sketch to the witness. President, yes, that you may do so. Counsel, Mr. Witness, could you please review that sketch, and on the top part, in the middle, it reads the interrogation site, and then there were two main buildings to the east and to the west, which were noted as the prisoner buildings. Can you clarify how many prisoners' buildings were at Kantachan office while you were working there? Answer. When I arrived, there were two prisoners' buildings. One was located near the east, and the other one was located near the west. And the thatch roof had some holes in there. They were not fully roofed. Question. Can you tell the court further conditions of the thatch roof? You just stated about some holes on the thatch roof. Can you provide more details, for example, on the walls and the condition of or the material which was used to make the buildings? Answer. The buildings were made of wood with wooden planks as walls and thatch roof. Each building is about 5 meters wide and about 7 meters long. Question. Were the two buildings of a similar size? Answer. They were similar in size. Question. How many prisoners could each building house? Answer. Each building could accommodate between 50 to 60 prisoners. Question. Do you know how the prisoners were housed or detained in each building? Answer. Prisoners were shackled to their ankles. They were put in a row, and then they would use metal bar to shackle them. Question. Did you see the marking of any buildings which had later been disassembled, or were you told that there were other previous buildings before the two buildings that you saw when you arrived? Answer: I was not aware of any previous buildings, nor did I walk around to inspect the ground for previous remains of any previous buildings. Question: I'd like now to turn to your specific duty when you were moved to get closer to the compound of a Krantachan office. You already stated before this court that occasionally you were asked to do the typing by An or Dutch. Can you tell the court the main role that you perform when you were moved closer to the office compound? Answer: I have already responded to that question. The main duty of our six-man unit was of a military nature, and that was our main duty. And over there we provide the guard duty. Question: can you explain to the court regarding the role that you perform as a typist to type the names of the list of prisoners, and why were you assigned such supplementary work or duty? Answer: in fact, we were asked whether any of us was literate, and I responded, yes, I could read and write. And there was a typewriter sitting there. I did not know how long it has been there. And they asked me whether I knew how to type, and I responded, yes, although my typing skill was rather limited. That I could use the typewriter to an extent. Question: after you were moved to the district education office, can you inform the court how long were you posted closer to the prison compound? Answer: I cannot recall the exact time period that I moved closer to guard near the compound. It was probably around 6 months. Because I left the office around late June or early July 1978.
បាទសូមអរគុណលោក
You also stated about your self-mastery stance. That is when you responded to the question by my learner colleague. You stated that you were assigned by your commander to station at the Krantachan office, and that you had to be self-mastery. I'd like you to explain to the court what you meant when you said you had to have a self-mastery stance. Answer. Why, even when I were within the army, every soldier or every one of us had to be self-responsible or self-mastery. We had to perform any duty assigned to us, or we had to stand at wherever we were assigned to post. For example, if we were instructed to stay in a shelter or a building, we had to remain there and not to wander around. And that's what I meant by self-mastery stance. Question. You also stated that you did not know about the nature of work of other people and that you only minded your own work. Can you explain to the court how did you perform your work by only focusing on the duties assigned to you? Answer. At that time, none of us could ask other members of the unit about the nature of the assignment. For instance, if I was assigned to do something or to carry out a task, a second member of the unit would not be able to ask me what assignment was I given to do, because that was my personal assignment, and likewise I could not ask about the nature of the assignment for any of the members of the unit. Questioned. What would be the end result if somebody violated that principle? Answer. At that time, we learned of a saying that Anka has eyes everywhere. And amongst the 6 of us within the unit, if anyone violated the rule or the principle, the person would be removed from the unit or would be punished. And that was unavoidable, in particular for a soldier. And that soldier would not be spared if he broke the principle or the rule. Question. You also stated that during the time that you were stationed at Krantachan, none of your commanders came to visit you, and that the instructions were only given to you by your direct military commanders. And as for the chief of the Krantachan office, they could only ask you to do a specific job. Can you explain to the court, since we are not clear as to what you refer to the instructions from your military commander and the request to perform a specific task by the chief of the prison office? Answer. Yes, there is a distinction in the two words. One was the instruction and one was just to use for a specific task. The instruction is relayed from your superior, but when you're asked to perform something, it has not to be from your direct superior. It could be from somebody, because it was like you were on loan to perform a specific task. So I only received the orders or the instructions from my direct military commanders. Questioned. What instructions were you given when you were moved from the outer part to the closer part of the compound? Were the instructions involved in assigning you to watch the prisoners or to do other tasks within the compound itself? Answer. When we were moved to the closer part of the compound, our main assignment was to guard the compound due to the large number of prisoners. And that was the instruction from my commander, from my military commander. So again, our guard duty involved guarding the compound and not to allow any prisoners to escape. And also to secondly provide security to the prison staff. Question. Was the instruction from your military commander? Or was it from the chief of Krantachan office, namely the Ant or Dutch? Answer. It was from my military commander. Question. In relation to contact with the Ant or with cadres or prison staff of Krantachan office, was there any specific instruction from your military commander in relation to making contact with the prison staff? Answer. No, there was no such instruction. Question. I'd like now to talk again about the prisoners' buildings. In document E3/5522, at question answer 33, a witness named Pan Chun states the following. The building was about 50 to 60 meters wide and about 90 to 100 meters long. On the contrary, you just stated that the prison compound was about 200 square meters. Can you tell the court the discrepancies in your statement and the statement made by this witness? Answer. Can you be more specific? Do you refer to the actual land plot? Counsel. I refer to the size of the compound. The witness. As to the size of the compound, which was about 4 hectares in total. That is the overall size. Although this is my estimation, it could be a bit more or less. Question. Can you tell the court again about the roof of the 2 buildings? Answer. The roof was made from thatch. Counsel. From which leaves? Question. From which leaf? And answer is from palm tree leaves. Counsel, Mr. President, I'd like to give this document to the witness with your permission. President, what document, Counsel? Is there a document ID? Counsel, yes, it is. But because I extract this one from a document with the signature of Ta'an. President, if there is the case, you can proceed. Counsel, this is an extract from document E3/4104, EN 00270136. And as this document is a copy from the Khmer version, there is no English translation. And another document is E3/4098, Khmer EN is 0271031. And there is no translation of this document. And the third document is E3/2421. EN in Khmer is 00271177. And the fourth document is E3/2434, and EN in Khmer is 00270777. I would like to focus on the signature of Ant on these 4 documents. Mr. Witness, during the time that you worked at the Kanadachan office with Ant, for instance, that you assisted him in typing the documents, did you ever see the signature of Ant? at that time? Answer: I only saw his name when he signed the document with his name, and also I saw Dutch name when he signed the document. Question: can you tell the court again, did you see Anne's signature during the time that you worked at the Kangtachan office? Answer: yes, I did. Question: and do you still remember his signature? Answer: I cannot remember his signature, but I remember when the word "and" when he wrote next to his signature. Question: let me clarify with you. You saw an signature, but you simply cannot recall the form of that signature. Am I correct? Answer: that is correct. Question: can you look at the documents that I just handed to you? Can you confirm whether the 4 signatures on the 4 separate documents are similar to and signatures that you saw at the time? Answer: I saw the signature. I cannot say they are identical, but they looked similar, and as always, he wrote his name "and" next to his signature. Thank you, and Mr. President, I'd like now to hand another document to the witness, that is E3/1007. President, Counsel, your time has expired. President, may I seek just one more minute, Mr. President? President, yes. You can proceed. Counsel, Mr. Witness, could you look at the red circle on that document? Can you tell the court whether there is Anne's signature? My apology, the EIN of the relevant page in Khmer is 000-68049. As this is the example of the signature, and there is no translation of this document. Mr. Witness, can you respond to my question? President, Counsel, can you confirm the document ID again? So that we can make a proper transcript of the record. Council. The document ID is E3/2107. And Mr. Witness, could you look at the signature on the document that I delivered to you? That is the first batch of the document. And the document that I have just given to you, whether the signature is the same? Answer. I cannot tell you about the signature in the red circle as I cannot recognize it. Council, I don't have any further question, Mr. President. And it is our view that on the issue of the signature, we request the chamber to do a forensic analysis of this document in order to confirm the signature. President, Mr. Sraythorn, the chamber is grateful for your time and testimony, and of course your testimony will contribute to ascertaining the truth in this case. And the time is now concluded for your testimony, and you are now excused so that you can return to your residence or wherever you wish to go to, and we wish you a safe journey. And court officer, in collaboration with WISU, please assist the necessary transportation of Mr. Sraythorn to his place of residence or wherever he wishes to go to. And the chamber also thanks the Duty Council. I note that the international lead co-lawyer for civil parties on her feet. You may proceed. President, and Mr. Witness and the Duty Council, you may now leave the room. Or you may just wait for a little while.
Président.
Thank you, Mr. President. A short observation that does not regard this witness. Simply to tell the chamber that we haven't received the list of documents from the Nunchia team, this list of the 752 documents that have been uploaded in the interface for the next witness. If I understood well, the Nunchia team was supposed to provide us with a list of documents, and unless I'm mistaken, we still haven't received these documents, so I simply wanted to make the chamber aware of this and to tell the chamber that when you will think about the note that you're writing about the use of the interface, it is important for us to receive the documents before we can question witnesses. We would like to have access to the documents that the defense intends to use for our preparation. When we will examine the witness or the civil party.
President, any comments to make by Nunchia's defense? In fact, the chamber already takes note of that, and defense team for Nunchi, if you wish to respond to that comment, and you may proceed.
Yes, Mr. President. Just to be very clear, we didn't upload 700 plus documents. We uploaded about 200 documents. That's because the rest is translation in 3 languages. We uploaded 138 documents which are Trump Kok district records, documents that civil parties should know by now. We uploaded 9 documents of the previous witness and 9 documents about the next witness. We uploaded 8 Krang Tachan identification reports. We uploaded written records of investigation of 5 prisoners and of 6 cadres. We uploaded another 3 statements of additional witnesses, including the one that I referred to yesterday. These are so roughly around 200 documents. This counts for about 600 documents in translation. It seems that the remaining number is because of some flaws in the system. It takes a while to upload them, and then the system apparently asks again. So all in all, 200 extremely relevant documents for both the previous witness and for this witness. Documents, again, that the civil parties and surely the prosecution should know by heart. So we have not uploaded anything extraordinary. We have not done anything to well, I don't know the English word, to screw the system. We have been completely in good faith. These are extremely relevant documents, and as of this moment, we are not able to decide exactly which of the Trump Kok district records we will put before this next witness. So, a last remark is that I deeply resent any suggestions that we have been acting in bad faith, and I would like to clear this picture right now.
President Judge Vance, you can proceed.
If you tell us why, if you're in good faith, you obviously violated a clear order of the court, because yesterday there was an order following a request by, I believe it was the prosecutor, to identify the relevant parts. I don't remember you objecting in any way. And this morning you just argued that you put documents on the case file, on the interface. This isn't the point. There was an order yesterday. You're aware of it. Why didn't you comply?
Because the 200 documents that we put on the interface are the documents that we possibly might use for the next witness. So we can repeat whatever is uploaded on the interface. But it might be worth remembering that we don't have that much staff as the prosecution, or even the capacity to just send an email repeating all those 200 documents. We simply are unable to. So the situation is that we have uploaded 200 very relevant documents, and that we intend to use them possibly with the next witness. That's the situation.
President, Counsel Coupe, can you inform the chamber during the time that you question next witness that a party is given only a morning session, or in your case maybe an afternoon session, and whether you will use all those 200 plus documents that you uploaded on the interface? Will you use all those documents?
Again, Mr. President, this is not our witness. The next witness is, we are not doing the examination in chief. We are relying on his answers, and his answer might give rise to us to use one of those 138 Trump Kok district documents, for instance. The whole point is not to confuse anybody. These documents are very well known. Everybody should have read them by now. And we would like to have the opportunity to confront the next witness with documents from the Trump Kok district records. The same goes for the statements of the prisoners in Krang Tachan. The same goes for cadres within Krang Tachan. So that's the liberty that we should have. And if you want to have an email repeating exactly those 200 documents, then fine. But I don't really see the point of it.
President, let both of you be on your feet one after another, and now you just decide which one to go first. Let's do it now.
Président, une courte réaction.
Thank you, Mr. President. A small reaction. I don't want him to infer that we do not know the documents relevant to Tram Kok and Kang Trachang. The problem is not that we do not know these documents. The problem is how we're going to use the interface and how the parties exchange the documents they're going to use during the proceedings. Everyone is doing their job, and we're doing our job, and it's not up to you to tell us whether or not we're doing our job. But the problem is that we have an interface, and we have to respect the principles of an adversarial debate, and we have to be notified in advance of the documents that are going to be used by the other parties, given the enormous volumes of documents in this case. So the Chamber's going to have to take position. So should we consider that at the approach of each segment, all documents relevant to that segment are considered as placed before the Chamber, and therefore the parties will be able to refer to these documents without being notified in advance? Or do we stick to the ancient system by which systematically we upload onto the interface 48 hours in advance the documents that we intend to use during the examination of such and such a witness or such and such a civil party? Obviously, when we know the documents that are potentially used by the defense, we, of course, prepare ourselves, and we prepare our questions in a different way. And it's exactly the same thing for the defense. As long as we are aware of the documents that possibly will be used by one party or the other, this obviously is going to be part of the strategy we're going to adopt. So this is why we're asking you to clarify the situation once again, so that we are much more aware of what's going to happen during the forthcoming segments.
Let me echo that, Mr. President. The point here is not whether we're familiar with these documents. We are, of course. The point is that the interface is a means to give good faith notice to the court and the other parties of the documents you intend to use in the examination of a witness. Counsel cannot possibly, in good faith, believe he is going to use 200 documents. As we saw yesterday, after posting probably the exact same documents, if we checked, he used only 15. This is simply not good faith. This is subterfuge, trying to hide the documents they're used. If counsel thinks this is good faith, he doesn't understand what that means.
President, on this issue, the Chamber already received requests and submissions from concerned parties since yesterday, since last week. And due to the complexity and the sheer scope of the case, the Chamber actually issued an instruction or decision in case 002/01. And we are now trying to see what kind of the paragraphs of that decision are still applicable to the current case, and what additions should we make. And in fact, we have drafted it already, and it takes a little bit of time for the bench to deliberate on it, probably during this weekend. And for that reason, we try to minimize any impact during this time before the testimonies of the witness here before this court until the time that we issue our decision. Anyhow, the time is now appropriate for a lunch break, and we will take a break now and return at 1:30 to hear the testimony of a witness through TCW 852. And security personnel are instructed to take his pawn to the waiting room downstairs and bring him back into the courtroom before 1:30. The court is now in recess.